welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share with you some really fun books that I think your children, your students will get a kick out of. So today's theme is how-to books. And I know this is an important writing skill, especially with younger students. So learning how to write out steps for something is an important thing, and I know that's taught in writing, especially in first, second grade. So picture books are a great way to introduce this, to show students what it looks like in an actual book. And like I said, all the books I have today are really silly and a lot of fun, and your students will love listening to you read them aloud. But first, if you're new here, my name is Sarah and I'm from The Colorful Apple, and I love to share picture book ideas and how to use them in your classroom with teachers, because they are such an underutilized tool that I think can have I know have a big impact on how students learn. So without further ado, let's jump into those how-to books. The first one I have is How to Wash a Woolly Mammoth, and I think this is a great one to start with because it really goes through each step. So it says step 1, step 2, and it goes through all the different steps of how to wash a woolly mammoth. Can you see my puppy? He just decided to join me. Say hi. Say hello. Oh, thank you for kisses. Okay. But how to wash a woolly mammoth, it goes through each of the steps on how to wash one, which we all know, a large creature, and students will think it's funny to see it in the tub. And then what happens at the very end is quite silly. I have an interactive read aloud lesson to go along with this book. You can find that in the Colorful Apple Book Club. And to go along with the lesson, I have discussion questions to go with the book, walking your students through what the how-to process looks like. There are some anchor charts that explain it. Your students will do an activity. They'll write out their own how-to process, and the fun activity is that they're going to write how to make an ice cream sundae on these fun little ice cream sundae sheets, which I think is a lot of fun. And so there's also some task cards to go along with that as well. So that is our first how-to book. Next, we have one that I think is perfect for the season coming up, How to Catch a Santa. This one is part of the series of the How to Babysit a Grandpa and How to Babysit a Grandma. I think there's quite a few books in that series now, but this is a fun one for Christmas, How to Catch Santa. And it talks about it's Christmas time and Santa is here if you know how to catch him. And then it goes through different steps on how to go about catching him. And it talks about all the different tips and tricks for catching him, to be careful, to be crafty, but to be gentle as well. And it's important to remember that Santa can't resist cookies or riddles, and it's important to leave those Christmas lights on so that Santa can see his way around. Your students will definitely love this one, especially in the month of December. And just like I said from that same series, How to Babysit a Grandpa, this may have been the first one in the series, but like I said, there's quite a few now, but my own children love this book. They think it's hysterical. But in this book, a young boy who's actually, his grandpa is babysitting him, which your kids might pick up on that, but he's talking about how to babysit his grandpa. You need to take him for walks, you need to give him snacks, you need to have playtime, make sure he wears his sunscreen outside, and make sure he cleans up before mom and dad come home. But it's a silly one. Another one with how to, although this one doesn't go through like those specific steps, it more gives tips and tricks for doing it. Next, we have more of a sweet book. This one is called How to Make Friends with a Ghost, and I just think the ghost is like adorable. I know Halloween just passed, but this really isn't focused on Halloween, although it could be used like a ghost in October, but really could be read aloud anytime. And this one doesn't so much go through step by step how to make friends with a ghost, but more like helpful hints. Like, here's how you need to care for the ghost. Here's some tips for some do's and don'ts. Some things you should do, some things you shouldn't do. Other things like how to feed the ghost, how to, like I said, activities to do with the ghost. And it's broken up into different parts. So kind of a different way of showing how to something, like part 1, caring for your ghost, part 2, sharing him with others. So different way of going about that how to process with students. But like I said, the ghost is really cute. This next one is perfect for the winter season coming up. This one is All You Need for a Snowman. And it goes through a story. There's rhyming text in this one about different things you need to do to create a ginormous snowman. As you can see, there's small kids on the cover, but a ginormous snowman. And it's simple rhyming text, definitely for the younger crowd. But in the story, they talk about all you need to do is this, but then you need to do something else. All you need to do is this, except you need to do this too. So it goes through those things like you think you're done, but then you need to do something else. So again, not necessarily step by step, but how to do something more in a rhyming story form for that one. The next book that I have is perfect for November, How to Catch a Turkey. And this is another one that's part of like a really big series. There's How to Catch a Unicorn. There's so many different ones in this series by Adam Wallace. And this one is How to Catch a Turkey. In this story, a turkey is running loose in the school the night before the Thanksgiving play. And you'll follow along as the students in this book turn their school upside down trying to catch this turkey so that the show can go on. And it ends with a twist that ensures that no turkeys were harmed or eaten in the making of this story. And one thing I like about this series is that you can incorporate a lot of STEM or STEAM concepts, like setting traps to catch the different creatures that are escaping. So I think that's a fun way to incorporate that like science, technology, math into this read aloud, and you can use it in lots of different ways. So How to Catch a Turkey, like I said, this is a very large series. There's quite a few books in the series, so whether you read the turkey one in November or a different one at a different time of the year. And this next one I couldn't get at my library, and I'm really upset because it sounds like a really neat book. It's called The Proper Way to Meet a Hedgehog and Other How-To Poems. So I thought this was neat, and it incorporates that how-to, but also poetry too. And it has some really awesome poets that contributed to the book, such as Kwame Alexander, Margarita Engel, Ralph Fletcher, Nikki Grimes, Robert Louis Stevenson, just to name a couple of them. So some really great writers are included in this book. But it's an assortment of poems that both inform students as well as inspire them. And there's practical things like how to make a pancake, or kind of silly things like how to catch a monster. So there's that fun balance between the two. And it's really perfect for kids because it's all these poems about how to play hard, how to love nature, and how to be grateful. So while you probably wouldn't read the whole thing aloud at once, there's lots of different poems that you can revisit throughout the year or at different times to share that how-to concept or to use as poetry. So that is my collection of how-to books. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of them, or if you have a different how-to book that you love to share with your students, because I always love adding to the collection. But like I said, I will leave all of the books linked in the description box down below, as well as a link to the Colorful Apple Book Club, where you can get the lesson to go along with how to wash a woolly mammoth, as well as lots of other lessons that you can use to go along with the read-alouds in your classroom. We have almost 200 lessons in our library that you can choose from depending on what you need to be teaching that week, whether it's a science, social studies, SEL, reading, or writing lesson that you need a read aloud for. We have a huge collection to choose from, so definitely check that out. I'll leave a link in the description box down below. If this video was helpful for you, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button, as well as the notification bell so you don't miss a video. I'm coming out with them every Monday morning so that you have so many books to choose from when reading aloud to your class. Have a great week.